Hello and welcome everyone. Hi everyone. Welcome to today's installment of our IG Live series with Paper Source. We're just going to give everyone a second to log in. Let us know where you're from, if you're joining us for the first time or if you joined us for our previous gift wrap session last week. Hello, happy holidays to you. Welcome everyone. All right. We've got people, wow, from Boston. We've got Key Largo, Lebanon. Nice. Welcome, everyone. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. My name is Roxy, and I'm the Virtual Experience Specialist with Paper Source. I'll be here to teach today's gift wrap live, IG Live, which is focusing on next level wrap this week. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is the second part of a 3-part series. And so last week we did just basic gift wrapping 101, where we taught just like some basics of gift wrapping. We taught how to do a seamless gift wrap. We also did a crisscross bow and how to stuff your gift bag. So if you missed that last week, we do have that video still on our profile, so you're able to still watch it and get, hopefully some great tips and tricks from that. This week's class is going to basically we're going to cover next level wrap. And again, if you have to bounce out or if you're joining us late, you'll be able to watch this on our profile as well. So I do have a moderator as well, just kind of helping with answering any questions in the chat that I don't get around to, because unfortunately when I'm teaching, I'm not able to keep up with as many of those comments and questions. So so keep an eye out for Paper Source Rebecca. She should be answering any questions that you guys might have in the chat, hopefully. And, I'll go over what I go over, and hopefully I'll have some time at the end to answer questions as well. So again, feel free to introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're from. Oh, there's Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca. So today it's, we're talking about next level wrap. And so because last week was just kind of basic, we wanted to kind of elevate it a little bit more now that you have some basic understanding of like how to wrap a gift, sort of the Paper Source way. We thought, let's kick it up a notch for those extra special gifts that you want to maybe give this holiday season that, are for somebody that's maybe really, really special to you, or somebody you want to wow, or maybe you even just want to do this for yourself, just to really get comfortable with gift wrapping and elevating your gift wrap. So today I'm going to focus on showing you one particular wrap, which is called the rosette wrap. Which is so pretty, and it's very, very simple to do. And so I'm going to walk you through how to create that today. And then I'm also going to show you how to do a luxe bow. And so we get this question all the time on how to create these beautiful, beautiful bows. If you follow any of our store accounts, we do offer gift wrapping in store. And so a lot of our associates create this type of gift for their customers. And we do get a lot of those questions on how to make them. So we thought we'd take this opportunity to show you how you can do a luxe bow just like this yourself at home. Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera, and I did take a poll before today's class on which gift wrap to use, and thankfully everybody chose this as that was the highest percentage, was the cedar sprig wrap. So I'm going to use that, which was perfect because I'd already created my sample in that paper. So I'm going to just walk you through the steps on how to create that. Now, of course, with any gift wrapping project, as far as supplies go, scissors, a great pair of scissors, sharp pair of scissors is always a must in my opinion when it comes to gift wrapping. And then of course you'll need some sort of adhesive, whether it's double-sided tape, which is what we prefer to use at Paper Source. I use it on a roll like this, so it's a little bit easier to access. But if you aren't using double-sided tape, just a regular transparent tape can work as well. And then, of course, the paper that you're going to be using. I'm going to be using, like I said, this cedar wrap here. We have, as you probably know, Paper Source specializes in gift wrap, and so we have so many different designs and so many beautiful patterns, some that you can coordinate with. You can really, get really great combinations between your paper and your ribbon over the holidays. And so, choose whichever paper you'd like to go with, obviously. I'm going to show you with this stone paper. So we did have a question last week of what scissors I was using, because it seemed like it cut so beautifully through the paper that I used last week. And so I will just mention, these are just American craft scissors that we do sell at Paper Source, which are a very, very good quality scissor. They're heavy, they're sharp, but then also the paper that I used was stone paper last year. And so if anybody has not tried the stone paper that we carry, it's phenomenal, and it really does cut like butter. So I do recommend that you go out to your Paper Source and check it out. And you'll fall in love, and then you'll never want to go back. So I'm actually just going to trim off this excess here that I have from the sample that I made earlier, and then I will get right to wrapping. And then, sorry, on top of the gift wrap, just ribbon too. So for this one in particular, I do have this 1/4" satin ribbon that I used, and you don't have to use ribbon in this case, but I will show you how it comes in handy if you do use ribbon. And just, creating this pretty little bow here just kind of adds to the gift wrap itself. So I think any ribbon will be fine. The reason why a 1/4" works well is because of it needing to kind of squeeze in between these rosettes here, but you can use a bigger ribbon as well. You might just have a little bit of a gap there. Okay, so I'm going to start off just by talking about the measurements for this type of wrap. So now, of course, you may have different size boxes. So this is the type of wrap that I would recommend, more so on sort of longer boxes if possible, smaller boxes, like if you've got kind of like smaller gifts that you're giving. I wouldn't do this so much on a large box. This is really kind of meant for anywhere from a small to a medium gift. Narrow is great too. You'll probably get a little bit of a better product as far as like the rosette goes if you have a narrower box. But what I do recommend too is just kind of playing around with it too. Like, you might be surprised at like what boxes and what shapes of boxes this gift wrap will end up looking really good on. So I've done it with a jewelry box as well, where the jewelry box itself is only this big, and then the rosette still came up on top. So also the depth might matter too. This one here is about 2 inches or so deep. You might not want to go too much deeper than that, but again, just play around and see, depending on the boxes that you're using, whether or not this wrap style is suitable for it. So as far as the measurement goes, kind of my rule of thumb for this type of gift wrap is, if we are doing the length like this, how the sample is that I created, you do want your gift wrap to wrap completely around the box this way. And so, you want it to wrap. And so the seam for this will come vertically. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that I have enough paper that way, which my desk might not allow it. Okay, so I know that this will, once it reaches the tabletop, I know that it will completely wrap around the box, and then I want to give myself a tiny bit extra, so even just about 1 inch. So you see, the paper touches the table here. I'm going to give myself an extra inch there so that I know that the paper will overlap. So I'm going to cut that down first. And then as far as like the height of this paper, so you do, obviously the big feature of this gift wrap is that it has this rosette at the top. So my rule of thumb, and this could, vary depending on the box that you're using, but typically what I do is, whatever the height of the gift is, I'll double that in paper, in height. Okay, so what I mean by that is, like, as I lay my gift down, first I want to make sure that the bottom seam comes at least halfway up the bottom of the box. And then from there, I'm going to measure another full box on top of it. So this is sort of double the length of the box that I'm wrapping. And that's how I'm going to get my measurement. If you're not certain that you're going to have enough paper for the rosette part. You can certainly leave this paper long and kind of like, you know, gauge after you've like partly wrapped it, just to make sure that you have enough paper. But that's typically, that measurement should be okay. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of wrap it the way that I normally would start a gift wrap, which is, and you don't have to do the seamless here, but since I taught you guys how to do the hidden seam last week on our gift wrap, I'm going to just go ahead and do it as well. So for those of you who missed last week, I can kind of walk you through what that looks like. But basically, I'm going to tape down my paper on this end. This paper slightly overlaps. This is a little bit less than an inch. Usually I give myself an inch, but it's about half an inch over. At that point, I'm just going to fold where that paper comes over the edge, and I'm actually going to fold that paper under and tuck it. And so the seam of my gift wrap follows the edge of the box. So it kind of doesn't, you never get a seam in the center of your gift at all. Okay, and so we want to make sure that you fold and crease that paper all along that entire length of the paper there. Okay, so now I want to secure this. So I'm using double-sided tape here. This is where I'm going to want to do this sort of on the length of this, and I'm trying to get it as close to the fold as possible so that it doesn't come undone. And then you can see when we put it down, that now it comes along the edge of our box there. So it's a nice, really clean look. And then the bottom, this is going to be just like how I taught the basic wrap of last week. So we're just going to push the first piece down. We're going to get our creases in here. We want to make sure that this paper in here really comes along the box so that we get a nice square edge there. And we're going to crease those little triangle corners. And then I am just going to add a little bit of double-sided tape just so that this doesn't come undone when I fold it all together. So of course, you know, one of the things that I'd mentioned in the last live was that, you know, the extra little tape that you have is going to go a long way just as far as keeping everything tight and close to the box, which I think is what really makes these elevated gift wraps pop, because they're just really clean and tidy and beautiful. So here I'm just going to finish off that end. So far my seam is hidden. I've got my end done, and this is now where we're going to focus on doing that pretty rosette at the top of the gift. So now here, my box comes up to about this height here, right? I doubled the paper. So what I like to do at this point is I do like to gather the paper. So you could do this a couple of different ways. If you want, like if this is, you know, coming undone, what I've done in the past is you could actually tape that down. And it doesn't have to be the whole length of this paper. I'm just going to tape it down just so that it doesn't come undone, so that it just kind of sits as one solid piece like this. I've done it without taping it down, but this is just for the demonstration, just to make it a little clearer on how we're going to create that rosette. So we're going to gather. So you're going to find the top of your box, and you're going to start to gather the paper together there. And I'm squishing kind of from both ends. See how I'm kind of like having the two, like the front and back meet in the middle. And so it should sit, so you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so this isn't all of it yet. We're going to keep going here, but this is where I'm just going to kind of start. And there are versions of this where you start the rosette fold from the top of the paper, but I actually like starting it from the base, because then I can control how big each of these pleats are. And I know that it's going to come down to the base of the box, which is what I want. At the end of this, I want it to be so that the rosette sits flat down here. So what I'm doing, I've got it all pinched and it's nice and tight. So the first fold, I'm going to fold toward myself. And I'm just going to crease the paper like that. And so you've got these kind of dog ears kind of coming off the side, and that's okay. Then the next fold I'm going to do is I'm going to now go backwards. And so I'm going to be doing an accordion fold here, okay? And it's going to just keep going over top of itself within the center of my box here. So I'll show you what I mean by that, but I'm going to go backwards, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it towards me. And I'm going to keep doing this just kind of back and forth. And so this might, like the size of, like the width of your accordion fold here might be different. Like you might want to do it a little bit narrower. You could do it a little bit thicker, but sometimes you kind of want to keep it within a reasonable width. And the reason for that is because you want there to be enough paper to eventually, when you open up your fan, you want it to kind of like touch itself, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But here you could see my pleats are about 1 inch wide here, and they're still sitting within the center of my box there. So I'm going to keep doing this until I get to the point where I have no more paper left. And you're creasing as you go along, trying to get those really nice crisp creases there. And then at the very end, I've got just sort of this little bit here that I'm just going to fold. Now, you can, however you want, like you can finish this depending on if you have like a full fold left over here, or if you find like it's just a little too much paper, you could trim it if you want to. Here I can see I've got a little bit of my white showing there, so I'm just going to trim that a little bit just to clean it up. But this end part is kind of like where you'll have to just, you know, play it by ear. If you feel like it's enough for another pleat, then go ahead and put in that last pleat. Or if you think that it's just too much paper, you can trim off the excess paper. So now this is what it looks like. I've got my pleats in the center here. Ultimately, what we're going to do is this is going to be my center point here, and I'm going to actually take these two pieces up and connect them. And that's how we're going to get our rosette. But before I even do that, remember I was talking earlier about that ribbon. So this is a good place to place that ribbon. So that 1/4 inch white ribbon that I was using earlier, which I've lost track of. I think that might have been what fell down. So I'm going to actually go with 1/4 inch eucalyptus. So I'm going to actually use that ribbon to anchor this part of my rosette down. So you could tape this down if you want to, or you could just leave it undone for now and get your ribbon ready. And you could finish this however you want. You don't have to do a crisscross bow here if you don't want to. You could just do like one line of ribbon and tie it if you'd like. Just for the sake of the demonstration, I'll just go ahead and do a crisscross bow. But you see how I'm just kind of like lining it up to the center of my pleat here, and then it's going to kind of help to keep that pleat down right at that spot. And so I'll just quickly do a crisscross bow. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to do this with a little bit of a thicker ribbon, you could do that. It's kind of similar to what I had said in last week's class, where, you know, use your judgment on the size of ribbon that you use in comparison to the box that you're using, because it might, you know, if the box is really, really small, you don't want to use a really big ribbon because it might overpower the gift. So, so just use your judgment there. So I'm just going to tie a simple bow here, if I can get it off my finger, and just trim that off. So as cute as that already looks, what we're going to do is we're just going to finish this by taking together your pieces of your rosette. And because, you know, the idea is that this ribbon sits right in the center here, so you want to pull up your paper so that the edges align with each other and that they're even. If you're finding like one side is kind of like shorter than the other, you can always just really very simply just shift it and then adhere it. So I'm going to use double-sided tape here, and I'm just going to stick that in the center there, and it'll just keep that all together. And I like to use enough tape to go the entire length of the accordion fold, and I'm also doing it closer to the front crease, if that makes sense here. So if my accordion fold is right here, it's folding here, my tape is like right to that edge there. And so now I'm going to pull them together and then squeeze And then you've got a really pretty gift topper like that on your gift. And so then you can just kind of go in here, and if your creases aren't quite, as tight as you'd like them, then you can just tidy that up. Another kind of finishing touch is you could, if you wanted to, like tape these pieces down so that you have kind of like this nice little halo effect on the top. I really just love the simplicity of that. Under the tree, I think is really, really fancy and cute looking. So I'm just going to leave it that way. All right, so if you guys have any questions, drop those in the chat. I'm not sure if I haven't seen any questions so far, but that is a rosette wrap. Hope you guys are able to try that out this season. And if you do have any gift wraps that you guys are doing that you've learned from our series, please tag us at PaperSource so that we can either repost it, or if you just want to show it off and you want to send it to us, we always love to see what you guys create. So this here now is the luxe bow. And so I'm just going to show you guys how to create this. And it seems intimidating. I'm just going to walk you through the steps on how to do it. As far as the supplies go for something like this, obviously ribbon is going to be a big part of it. Depending on how the size of the ribbon that you want to use will really be up to you. But I will say that you can do this type of bow with really any type of ribbon. With the exception, there are some ribbons that are very, very flimsy that you can, might have a harder time creating a bow like this. But I will say a lot of people assume that you have to have wired ribbon to create a bow like this, and that's absolutely not true. We do create them with just our satin ribbon, which is not wired. So it is possible to do it with a satin ribbon. Obviously a wired ribbon is helpful because it'll help with keeping the loops really nice. But this is an example of a ribbon that we carry that isn't wired, but it has like a rigidity to it that and structure to the ribbon that makes for really, really pretty loops like this. And then of course, there's even like burlap ribbon and stuff like that the possibilities are endless. So I'm going to show you how to create that bow. And what I'm going to be using is that same ribbon as this example here because it's beautiful. I love it. It's my new favorite ribbon at PaperSource. So this is the green satin and organdy stripe ribbon. And so as far as like length of this goes, like this is really going to, it's going to depend on how big you make your bow. And so I just want to kind of lead in with the fact that a bow like this does take a good amount of ribbon. It could be anywhere from 2 yards to 3 yards, depending on how luxe you want it to be. But what I will show you is sort of the same size ribbon here. The best way I think for people to be able to like relate to size here is I'm going to just use an iPhone. This is just like my regular phone. It's not a Max, so it's not the bigger screen. It's just a regular size screen. But we're going to start by just taking our ribbon. And I like to just kind of the same tip that I used last week of just like keeping the ribbon on the surface here and just kind of unraveling it as I need it. I'm going to wrap it around the length of my phone, and I'm going to do it 8 times. So I'm going to have 8 layers on the one side and 8 layers on the bottom side. So this is just to help with keeping everything uniform as far as size goes. Now, I know I've seen people do this in many, many different ways. You could just do it with your hand, wrapping it around your hand. Just know that whatever the size is of this portion here that you're wrapping is ultimately going to be in and around the same size as the width of your finished bow. So if you want your bow to be bigger, you're going to want to make larger loops here. Okay, so how many? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to just keep going a few more times. Now, the more times you go around, the more loops you're going to have because, at the end of this, you do want to have, I say personally, when I was in stars, I would always say minimum 8 rotations. You can always do more, but going less will really kind of lessen the fullness of your bow. So I always feel like 8 is a good number there. So once you get to that point, let me just make sure I think I got one more. It doesn't hurt to have more, but it definitely makes a difference if I have less. So I'm just going to make sure I have enough there. So once I get to a point where I've gotten the 8 rotations, so again, remember it's 8 layers on top and 8 layers on the bottom here. I'm just going to trim away the excess ribbon. And then from here, the other one thing that you will need is twine, or some people will use fishing line. And I don't know if there's any other suggestions that you guys have, to drop those in the chat and let us know if you guys have used other supplies here. But usually a twine is pretty good here. And essentially what we're going to do, I'm just trimming off the extra there. So I've got my layers like this, and I'm keeping them together like that. And that's very important at this point. Now I do want to find the halfway mark here. I'm going to fold my ribbon here just to get the halfway mark. I'm not doing this because it's going to eventually stay like this. I'm just trying to figure out like where that halfway mark is. And then I'm going to actually use my scissors. So this is where a good pair of scissors really comes in handy. I'm going to cut in from the edge toward the center, but I'm not going to cut right through. I'm just going to cut through until it gets to the center part there. And I want the center to be solid. Okay. And so I'm going to cut again on this side as well. And so now you see I've got a slit kind of like that. This is where you're going to take some twine and tie it in the center. And so the knot of my twine here is on the bottom. It's going to sit on the bottom of my bow. And so you could actually use this twine if you wanted to actually tie it to the ribbon on the gift itself if you'd like. All right. And then from there, the secret to creating this beautiful luxe bow is we start from grabbing the loops in the center of our layers here. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull them out from the center. And so you want this is why it's important to have that center like still intact, is because as you're pulling this out, you're kind of pulling the ribbon and it's all being held together by that twine. But as you're pulling it, you're also twisting it. And so those slits that we cut into the ribbon are actually going to help with kind of like keeping the ribbon stay put after we twist it. So you're going to do this to both sides. Okay, so I'm going to pull and twist, and it's not going to look like much to begin with, but the more you play around with it, the more you twist it, the more full it's going to end up looking. So you're just going to keep going, working your way through those layers, pulling them out and twisting them. And you could twist them either towards you, behind you, or backwards. It doesn't matter. It's usually preference, but the idea is that we want to just kind of get this movement going here. So I'm going to do that. While I'm doing that, I would love to hear in the chat if you guys have any like gift wrapping rituals, any rituals that are like, we're now into December. It's the 8th. We're already in more than a week. I'd love to know what you guys do as far as like gift wrap rituals. Do you guys like to wrap gifts one at a time as you buy them? Do you like to sit down and do like a wrap marathon once you've bought all your gifts? We're always so curious to know, because everybody has different ways of approaching the holidays, and I think it's always fun to hear what other people do during the holidays. Somebody was just asking if it's the same method with an unwired ribbon for this bow. Yeah, you would do this with a wired ribbon or an unwired ribbon. You do the same technique that I'm showing you here. Yeah, Megan says wrapping in a Christmas movie. Yes, wrapping in a Christmas movie. And speaking of Christmas movies, I don't know if you guys have already checked out. We're so excited. Tomorrow is December 9th, which is the opening day of Something from Tiffany's, which is a movie on Prime Video that we are partnered with right now. We're doing a sweepstakes. And for those of you who have already been to our Instagram and to our website, thank you so much for entering. Those of you who are new and are just hearing this for the first time, we urge you to immediately after today's live to go onto our website and enter our sweepstakes. So we have an amazing sweepstakes where you can win $500 in Paper Source gift cards, and a trip for two to New York with that is flight and accommodations for 4 nights, and it's just an amazing sweepstakes. And I don't even know what to say about it. It's like so big, and I just feel like 4 nights in Manhattan would be glorious, and everybody deserves it. So go and enter. that is live on our website now. If you are on our Instagram, you should be able to get to that sweepstakes fairly easily. We do have a pinned post with that. But that is a movie that is a perfect like gift wrap, chill, hot cocoa, just watching movies, wrapping gifts. And that comes out tomorrow. So hopefully you guys can check it out. I know that a few people are having watch parties tomorrow. I'm not ready to wrap gifts quite yet, but I'm considering still making a night out of it tomorrow when it comes out. So here you can see I'm just kind of like manipulating the bow here to get it to where I want it to be. So those little notches that we cut into the ribbon, those are what's going to help you to just kind of like manipulate each of these loops and kind of have them stay where you put them after you twist them. So when you create a bow like this, like I said, the size of the loops matter. And so if you are using a wired ribbon, the bigger the loops are, it's fine. They'll continue to hold their shape. But if you are using like a satin ribbon or a ribbon that doesn't have wire, you don't want to go too big with your loops because they will flop over, and especially depending on the fabric that you're using for your ribbon. So, all right. So I'm pretty much close to done here. And so after I've completed, floofing up the bow, I would just put this as my topper for my gift. So you can, like I said, tie it onto an existing ribbon. So I've already wrapped the ribbon onto this box, and then I've taken the twine and wrapped that around the ribbon. And so that's how you can get that really nice, beautiful finished look. And then of course, you could do this with any color, any size, and just have fun with it. The more loops you create, the better. The more luxe it looks, the more full it looks. You could even double it up, and look how beautiful that would look if you did a couple of these on one gift. So have fun with that. Hopefully you guys are able to try that technique out, and same with the rosette wrap. I do want to say just before we go, because I know we're just about at time here, I just want to make sure that you guys also know we have other gift wrap, other luxe and next level wraps available on our on our YouTube channels. So we have tutorials, we have different videos that you can watch and create different styles of wrapping. And the possibilities are endless, obviously, with papers and all that kind of stuff. But just go to our YouTube channel, which if you're on Instagram already, just go to our bio. We have a link tree to all of our different links. Our YouTube channel is there and available. And click and go ahead and explore our channel. We have so many great tutorials, so many great DIYs that you could really learn from for this holiday season. So hopefully that was fun, and hopefully we were able to answer all of the questions. Thank you, Lynn, for joining. Good to see you. I really, really hope that you guys have a great holiday. Make sure that you check us out for the last installment next week, which is November 15th at 4:30. We're going to be here again, and I'm going to be teaching gift wrapping hacks. So any of you guys who are just doing any last minute wrapping and you want to, just learn some really quick shortcuts, some really great, we all love life hacks. And so there are a lot of hacks that I'll be sharing with you to make gift wrapping enjoyable for the holiday season. So check us out next week. Thank you all for joining this week, and I hope you guys have a great week ahead. Thank you. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Have a great day.